Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about time management, effective time management for productivity. Indeed, we always use this time management word in our lives, but what do we mean by the time management? How can we set our routine work in a way so that we can do the things in accordingly? So what are the different strategies to deal with it? So for that matter, we have an expert with us who will share the wonderful tips and insights regarding this phenomena of time management. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Calvas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually, as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as guest. He's a multi-talented person with amazing qualities, having a wonderful experience and exposure, internationally known and recognized speaker. He is very great and always ready to share his knowledge. So let me introduce him formally. He is a diplomat, social and environmental justice advocate with a track in the climate change and waste management, project and facility manager and strategic manager. Last but not the least, he is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Caleb Timilehin Simoel. Welcome to the Calvas platform and thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much once again for having me. Thank you, distinguished guest. Thank you, Dr. Haider Shah, for bringing me here, definitely to learn and also to share my knowledge. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you so much for sparing your precious time and sharing your knowledge with our audience. And a gentle reminder to the audience that dear sir will be presenting and he would leave time for question answer session at the end of the session. If you have any question, write in comment section or you can email us at info@creativecolvas.com. So over to you, dear sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, Dr. Haider. Thank you. So I am Caleb Timilehin Samuel from Nigeria, a social and environmental justice advocate. I deal mainly with climate change and waste management. And also, I am a project manager, contract project and facility manager, and as well as strategic manager. So, of course, it's a wonderful time being here again, being here today to present my knowledge and perhaps my presentation. Of course, the development of the world is what we are looking at, and of course, to be able to impact the society has been my goal, of which one of it is what I am doing here. So today we will try to look at one of the most important aspects of the life of man that we all know. We are talking about time management. We all know that time management is life management. And we need some skills, we need some techniques, we need to know how to manage this time. This time is a resources. Of course, one of the resources that we have that is with us. And we know that time has been in existence. Of course, there has been um, some debate, even among thinkers and among philosophers, about the existence and the non-existence of time. While that is not uh, the subject of today, why that is not subject of today, and I realize and I understand that that is based on their reality. So it is very, very important. It is normal for great thinkers and philosophers to question some aspects. Of course, it is when we inquire, it is when we question, we learn new things. Of course, if we don't question, we cannot come about new knowledge and new innovation. So, which is the reason. So, as for the bone of contention today, which is time management, it is very important that we know how to manage this time. as one of the resources. And we all need to understand that the purpose of time management, time being a resource, one of the resources that we have that is available to us, we all need to understand that the purpose of managing this time effectively, of course, definitely it must have a goal, it must have an objective. It is to what? It is to come about some fantastic results. Of course, we need to manage some resources that are available to us so that we can be able to have some specific results. And all these things are dependent on our formulas. Yeah, and the formulas and the principle with which we use in attending to them. And so I must go also to the introductory to the introduction part of what I want to share. So we have on the slide one time, and we have the clock. We all know that clock is used in measuring our time. It is an instrument that is used to measuring time. And I don't want to inquire because I'm this kind of a person. I inquire and ask questions a lot. I don't want to inquire. Does the clock, which is an instrument of it, does it tally with time itself? Of course, we need to credit inventors and great innovators that invented this time. It is something to always wonder about. That, oh wow, such a fantastic instrument to come about. And when you look at it, it is it is accurate. It is accurate. You know, when you in the morning, maybe around 6, before 8, you see the dawn, before 7, you see the dawn, and uh before 8 also in the evening, you see the dusk. I mean, before night falls. So this is to see the magnificent potentials that are deposited into humans like we. So um on the first page, we have the clock, which is the time management. And so on the introductory part, we all need to understand that success or failure is determined by how much we manage our time. This is very, very true. When we talk about time, we can define time uh, as a sequence of events that happened in the past, that's happening now, which is also known as the present or the moment or the nowness, and also what is going to happen in the future. Of course, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what the future holds for us. Definitely, we are not God. We can forecast. It is a normal thing to forecast, but then it can have ability to forecast can be true. You know, we can predict a whole lot of things, and definitely it will come to the reality that we want. So we all need to understand that time, the past, the present, and the future, they are parallel to one another. This is to show that time is one dimensional. So whatever input you put in the past, we have an effect in the present, which is the nowness, and also whatever input we have now is going to have an effect, is going to contribute to the outcome of the future that we are hoping for. Let me give an example. Time is a process. Definitely, it comes with some level of processes. And we all know that every process in life, time are allocated to them. Every process has a beginning and an end phase. And definitely, when it has a beginning and an end phase, we must be able to manage that process effectively if we are to move into another process. Let me give us an instance now. Now, um, we all want to be a pilot. So for example, I can say, if I want to be a pilot, of course, I'll have to start from the basic. Okay, I don't know about the education system there in other country in your country. I mean, in your country, but in my country, we have the 6334, that which we all talk about the primary, junior secondary, the senior secondary. Then we talk about the university. But before the primary, we have the kindergarten, as the case may be, and also we have the nursery. But then, before you can be a pilot, you must begin from a process. You need to go to the nursery, acquire the basics of education. You need to go to primary. These are processes. Now, when you meet that target within a time frame, when you meet that target of nursery, then you promote to the primary. It also has a time frame of which you need to finish that primary. Now, when you grab your result, you go to the secondary. It also has a time frame of which you need to complete then before you can say you can go junior secondary, senior secondary, then you can go to the higher institution. So the accumulation and the summation of all these processes will give you that result that you want. And so before you can say you can have that fantastic result, which is the end product of time management, you must be able to manage and those allocate time to those processes effectively, the right time to the right activity. So that is when you can come about wonderful results. So time as the most precious asset is one of the most indispensable resources of accomplishment. Of course, we all need to accomplish things. We all need results. So we must effectively manage this time. So everything that we do requires time, and the better we use it, the more accomplishment and the greater the reward we will get. Because definitely, we all need to manage this time. For what purpose? It must be for one purpose, and of course, for a result. And before we can go into attending to tasks and before allocating time to them, we must also understand that we should not begin a process or we should not begin a task without an aim. It doesn't make sense why you begin a task when there is no aim or when there are no aims attached to that. You must have an aim. You must have a set goals and objectives. So that is when those are what to contribute to this time management that we are talking about. So we need to go also into the 4 Ds of effectiveness. And of course, we have been talking about time management, and also we have defined time to be the past, present, and the future. And also the definition of management, we can also say it is the utilization of these resources. And I also said earlier that time is one of the resources that we have. So it is the utilization of these resources, you know, for for some results. And of course, before we can utilize those resources for results, we need to understand some some principles of effectiveness. So the 4 Ds of effectiveness, as displayed in my slide, we all know, according to Brian Tracy, uh, a well-learned personality, and he spoke so much about time management, and he spoke on 4 basic principles that we need to have, that we need to imbibe, that we need to incorporate into our daily life, our daily routine before we can attain that level of effectiveness that we want. So number one is the desire. You must have an intense and burning desire to get your time under control and to achieve maximum effectiveness. You must be able to get your time under control. You see, although as we proceed in this presentation, there are so many things that will be unfold to us as per when we talk about control, getting your time under control, internal control, and external control of this time that we are talking about. Okay, so when we talk about desire, you must have this desire. Of course, something must prompt you. Something you must be passionate about time management before you can say you want to be able to manage this time. You see, when we look at meteorologists, when we look at those people that forecast weather, these people, yes, while I understand that they have equipment that also guide them in forecasting better or predicting weather, we must also appreciate that person that built that machine that have been able to forecast that time accurately. You know, meteorologists are so wonderful that they've understood time and the principles of time. And so this is what we need to do. We need to understand these 4 Ds. We need to incorporate it in our daily lives before we can master uh, time management. And so the number 2 of that aspect is decisiveness. You must make a clear decision that you are going to practice good time management technique until they are until they become your habit. Of course, the things we do every day becomes our habit. The things we lay our hands upon every day becomes our habit. So this is dependent on that person who is going to on that person who is of value, that is going to understand and make use of these effective time management techniques. You must have that. After you have had that desire and that urge, something must motivate you. So you must decide. You must decide. Indecision is not good. It makes you lose results when you are indecisive. So you must be decisive. You must focus. You must be focused. You must be focused. So, number three, the determination. You must be willing to persist in the face of all temptations to the contrary until you have become an effective time manager. I must say to us today that great strategists today are effective time managers anywhere in the world. They are effective time managers, they are problem solvers, they are project managers, they are strategic managers. These are people with great personality, they are very, very intelligent, intellectual people, they are very collaborative, they value skills. So, to crown it all, these are people that do not give up so quickly. They are so much determined. They are determined to carry out their daily tasks. They are result-oriented persons. When you talk about being result-oriented, these are people that are determined. Now, no matter what, I must find a result to this thing. No matter what, I must get to the end result, which is the the result that we want, being productive in the end. So that is the purpose of time management. We must be able to strive for productivity whenever we want to make use of this time management and its techniques. And number four, we must be disciplines. These are the 4 Ds that we need to incorporate into our daily life. Discipline takes a whole lot of it is painful actually. Discipline. I like being realistic on the other hand, but when we talk about discipline, the end result is usually fantastic, but the process might be difficult, but it gives the best reward. So discipline, desire, decisiveness, and determination. These are the 4 Ds for effectiveness. So on our next slide, we have just a short um, diagram for us to see that desire, determination, decisiveness, discipline will give effectiveness, and this will incorporate this value that we want. So the utmost desire of all this, after you have achieved your result, man is measured by his results. Okay, when you tell people that I'm an effective time manager, the next thing they ask you is, where are your results? When the results are not there, they believe that, oh, well, you are just a time manager, you are just uh, claiming yourself to be a time manager, but in reality and in action, you are not that. So the purpose of all this is to give you value. So when your results are there, they will know that you are someone of value. You are someone who the world can actually point to, that you have contributed greatly to the society and to human at large. So on our next slide, which is in slide 4, the psychology of time management. Of course, when we talk about time management, we must be particular about the person who is going to effectively manage that time for the result. That person, which is the man himself. Man is a psychological being, man is a social being. And of course, if you want to translate that time management practices and principles into reality, that person, that man is needed to learn some principles. If you want to learn how to drive a plane, of course, definitely, you need to study the principle behind the plane and how to drive a plane. The same thing is applicable to a car. You must be able to learn that car. So, and it is in the process of you learning that car, that person himself has gotten some value, and that person will be able to translate it into for practical use. So, the psychology of time management deals with man himself, the emotional aspect of him, the ability to put so many things into his lifestyle, what he needs and what he does not need. So this is when it boils down to the issue of filtering a whole lot of life's lessons. What you need, okay, to be an effective time manager, and what you don't need, what you need to get rid of if you want to be a fantastic time manager. So according to Brian Tracy, he said the way you think and feel is equal to the quality of your life. Of course, definitely, it is what you think inside. It is what you are within you that translates to what is physical. It is a content within you. You cannot, of course, you cannot act when you have nothing within you. It is what it is within you, the way you see yourself, the way you view yourself, you have deep reflection about yourself, is the way things around you begin to change in reality. That is to connote that for the fact that we emanated from this environment, the environment also has an impact on us. And so the impact that the environment has on us is also the impact that we have on this same environment. So this is to see that the psychological aspect of our lives also impact what is around us, the impact the environmental aspect of our life. So the way you think about yourself, the way you feel, determines the quality of your life. If you see yourself as an effective time manager, of course, definitely you begin to work towards you being an effective time manager. And you see, in reality, around you, within your circle, within your around your closet, just around you, things will begin to change. The way you think is the way you begin to see results about yourself. So, according to Brian Tracy, he said self-esteem is an emotional core of personality. Of course, definitely, just like I said, when you have value within yourself, of course, the psychological aspect is also in line with the emotional aspect. Then this affects your person in totality. And this also gives you this high self-esteem that we want. Okay, so the self-esteem is defined as how much you like yourself. So this increases when you are working efficiently and your self-esteem goes down when you are not. So what gives you self-esteem? The ability to manage time effectively. When we go further into the presentation, it has some benefits. Of course, time management has its own benefits. So one of the benefits that we can be able to deduce from here now is higher self-esteem. You'll be able to have belief in yourself. You have this competence. You have this competence. This you'll be capable. Then of course you will have um, this mindset of being productive. So these three key things: competence, capacity, or competence. When you are capable and your productivity will give you high self-esteem. And I must tell us also that this self-esteem also it affects these three things in return. It supports and reinforces these three things. The same way these three aspects, these three key things affect self-esteem, join together to give you high self-esteem. The same way the high self-esteem also gives you, and it also makes these three key components effective. So the other side of self-esteem is self-efficacy, which is defined as a degree to which you feel you are competent, you are capable, and you are also productive, able to solve your problems, do your work, and achieve your goals. The world is interested in your result, and the world is interested in how much results you've been able to have. That is when they can say you are someone of value. And the world today is looking for people who can solve problems. The world today is having a whole lot of challenges, and that is why we have sustainable leaders going all around attending, and world young leaders attending to these challenges so that we can have a sustainable environment that we want. So on the other slide, I also did the same thing to show that these three key things also have an impact to equip in us the high self-esteem that we want. So on the next slide, the law of control. So according to Brian Tracy, the law of control says that the way you feel good about yourself to the degree to which you feel you are in the control of your own life. The law says that you feel negative about yourself to the degree to which you feel that you are not in control of your own life. Just like I said earlier, I made mention of these two things when I was talking initially on the introductory part, when I talked about the internal law of control and the external law of control. Of course, when we talk about time management, we also talked about the psychology, which is the aspect that is within man, has a control over that man. And also the environment, which I said before, has a control and impact on that same man. So when we talk about internal law of control, when you feel that you are the master of your own destiny, when we talk about the external law of control or the locus of control, where you feel that you are controlled by circumstances outside your environment, outside yourself, which is this environment. So when we talk about this external locus of control, we can talk about the bills, pressure of work. We can talk about the boss. We can talk about the responsibility. These are external laws of control that we are talking about. So, on the other hand, we can also say this law of internal and external can be tailored towards action and reaction. The internal is action. So, but when you let your circumstances around you to have control over you, then maybe you are reacting. That circumstance around you is giving you something to react upon. It is on this you begin to react on what the circumstances of life is giving to you. But when this internal control comes from within, this is basically an action-based approach. So these are the psychological aspects of time management. So it is just about this action also is just about being goal directed, and also and when we talk about the reaction, it is also about immediate response to external pressure. Of course, you do not have a choice when the environment gives you some circumstances. Of course, the nature is so powerful that it has its own laws. And I must say that the law of nature does not bend its principles for man. Of course, it is every living and every man in that nature that needs to bend its principle for that for that law of nature. Law is a very powerful thing that even if at all you want to try to get away and you try to boycott without following those laws, it is inevitable. So the external circumstances of man in most times forces him to react to those circumstances, and also the internal is from you, it is from within you, and also your mind. Okay, so on the next slide, now we have come to the time management proper. When we have discussed about the psychology of time management, we have come to the time management proper. And before I go to the time management proper, we need to talk about, we cannot talk about the psychology of man without talking about the thoughts and feelings of man. Those are the aspects of the psychology, even when it has been set together with the previous ones that's been explained. We need to dissect it and bring it out to table it and try to analyze things with analysis. So when we talk about the psychology also, we can talk about the thoughts and the feelings. Of course, every nature have a thought and a feeling. It is as a result of your thoughts and your feeling that you can understand the circumstances the environment is giving to you. Of course, it is very important that since our perception is to the body and also our impulses is to the soul, then definitely our judgment is to the mind. Something must trigger our judgment. Of course, definitely our thoughts. Our thoughts triggers judgment. And also, if you want to erase judgment, you must definitely, if you want to erase thought, you must definitely erase judgment. So it is very, very important that when we talk about thought in psychology, we must also talk about our feelings. It is these thoughts that gives us this judgment. Our mind is a very vast place. It is infinite. Of course, definitely, mind in most times, it gives us that thought. That is to show that we are alive, we are existing. So it is when we have actually think about so many things that we think about that gives us that judgment that we want. So, and also, we must look at our self-concept. The self-concept, your thoughts and your feelings will give you that self-concept, that reflection within yourself, looking into yourself. According to Marcus Aurelius, it made us to understand that we should always retreat into ourselves, look deeply into ourselves, understand the kind of person that you are, your self-concept. So this self-concept can also be tailored towards our idea, the idea about yourself, can also be tailored towards our pictures. Okay, how do you picture yourself? The visualization about yourself, your images about yourself. This is why they ask people that where do you see yourself in the nearest future? That is a picture about yourself, your idea about yourself, and also the beliefs about yourself. That is also about management, also the beliefs about yourself. Every human being on earth, we have our principles, and most times we have differences in reality, and definitely we cannot have the same principle. Of course, what works for me might not work definitely for you. And this reality that we all know is dependent on our perception and our viewpoints. Our viewpoints are different. That's why Socrates said in his words that you should know yourself. So you understand that when you know yourself, then you'll be able to get some reality about yourself. And also, we can also talk about the belief also that our beliefs also become our reality. The way you think about yourself is the way you will become, and things will begin to change around you. That is why it is said that while I understand the impact of environment to the life of a man, it is on the other hand too, in reality, we can say that while the environment have an impact on a man, we must also understand that that man too also have a work to do before that environment can impact him positively or negatively. That's why they usually say bad company corrupts good manner. So that is to see how social we are to our environment. Also, when we talk about the psychology aspect before we go into the time management proper, we can talk about the beliefs that it becomes reality. It is what you think about yourself uh, that comes to reality. What are the pertinent questions we need to ask ourselves? What are your beliefs about yourself? Oh, what really is your belief? You need to have a belief. These are the things that will make up your principles that will guide you in your daily life. So, what are your ability to manage your own time? You need to study the kind of person that you are to be able to manage your own time. And also, do you see yourself as high efficient and effective time manager? If you don't see yourself as an effective time manager, you cannot be an effective time manager. If you see yourself as a poor time manager, of course, you're definitely going to be poor. So it is what you say to yourself, it is what is within you that will translate to you becoming a better person. And also, do you believe that you are highly productive and in control of your own life and work? If you feel as if you're not in control of your own life and work, it will be very difficult for you to be an effective time manager. If you cannot delegate tasks among your team members, then definitely you lack the human resource skills to be able to manage time management, to be able to manage time. Sorry. So, and also, you need to program your mind. Change your inner dialogue and affirm to yourself that you're an effective time manager. You need to program your mind. And also, you need to visualize yourself as you want to be. You need to picture, just like the idea that I gave about the picture, the image, the idea, and the belief also about yourself. And also, when we talk about the psychology of time management, we can also talk about you acting as if, according to Brian Tracy, in becoming an effective time manager. You need to act as if you are an effective time manager. It is not to lie that you are an effective time manager. When you pretend as if you are an effective time manager, this will, in this context, it will motivate you to always want to study in the field of time management. It will propel you and to always want to dig deeper into the knowledge. Also invest in the knowledge of time management. So it will, when you act as if, it will become part and parcel of your life. And when it becomes part and parcel of your life and your habit, then definitely in no time you become fantastic and you will become a professional and a guru in that field of time management. So this boils down to within you, to look within yourself and understand the kind of person that you are. So look, going into time management proper, we must understand, just like my definition earlier, that time is the sequence of events on the past, present, and the future, and also management of time. The management, which is the utilization of resources, which is the time that we are talking about to achieving results. So we can get the both uh, definition, the two definitions of time management as to managing time effectively so that the right time is allocated to the right activities. When we talk about time management proper, you must be able to outline your activities. You must be able to delegate and break those tasks into sections or into processes. Or if you need to delegate them, you need to assign people to those tasks. Two heads are better than one. You cannot do them all by yourself. If you want to attend to everything all by yourself, you break down and medically, uh, the person might actually die of cardiac arrest or maybe die of heart attack when things are becoming too much. So this is to see that time management also, since it is a scientific approach, it also goes in line with our health life. It also goes in line with our emotional and psychological state. So to be an effective time manager, you need to understand that you need to be able to identify these goals and bring them, delegate them, assign the proper and allocate time to them to the right activity effectively to be able to achieve your result. So effective time management can also be equal to specific slot of activities plus importance. That is to when we say we want to be able to manage our time effectively, specific slot of activities plus the importance. Of course, definitely some tasks are more important than the other, and it is very important that we um scale our outline our task according to our level of importance. Of course, definitely. Let me say, for example, you I as a student am preparing for an exam, for instance. On a Monday, I have mathematics as my first paper. On a Tuesday, I have English. And I'm drafting out my time, my schedule, and my timetable. And I am attending to English, which is supposed to come a day after mathematics. And I have not read so much on mathematics. That will contribute to the failure. Even when you might have your A in English, definitely, the mathematics will be affected. And on the long run, you will now discover that the end product of that, your result, since you fail to identify your activity as per level of importance, it might affect your cumulative GPA. See GPA in the end, the result. You might pass English, but when you fail the mathematics, it will affect that English that you are trying to read all for without concentrating on the mathematics. So we need to outline our task as per our level of importance. So what are the questions we need to ask ourselves when we talk about time management? We need to ask ourselves some question of which activity is more important? Oh, really? Which activity is much more important? Of course, we need to outline them. Then the number two, how much time should be allocated to the activities? We need to quantify and try to um, allocate our time, the specific time. Don't allocate too much time for little activity. Of course, it will affect in the long run. So, which work should be done earlier? Some work does not demand urgency, sincerely speaking. It does not demand urgency. So, it is when you attend to it as a matter of urgency, then it will now affect the other ones which demand urgency. So, on the long run, it will affect the productivity. So which work can be done later? So these are the questions we need to ask ourselves. And also, what does time management include? It includes effective planning, setting goals and objectives. Of course, just like I said before, we should not embark on activities that does not have a goal. Oh, what should be the end result of every activity should be our aims. Of course, we need to outline goals. What do I intend to achieve? What is my goal really? So that is when we'll be able to allocate our time, setting deadlines, and also delegating of responsibilities, and also prioritizing activities as per the level of importance, and also spending the right time on the right activities. So on the next slide, so the effective planning also talks about, when we talk about effective planning, it also includes time management. When you are not managing your time effectively, then you are not planning effectively. So time management, effective time management is effective planning. So when you plan your activities effectively, then this will give you the productivity and also setting goals and deadlines. You need to set your goals and deadline. At the end of the day, this is what I need to achieve. At the end of this hour, this is what I need to achieve. And also delegate your responsibilities. In the School of Project Management, we are made to understand uh, under the section section of project human resource management that it is very important that we learn how to manage persons. One of the most difficult things to do in life is to be able to manage persons. And of course, if you can manage persons, and I must say that you'll be able to manage your time effectively. Man is a social being, and most times we are imperfect. We tend to unleash our imperfect side, our emotional side, of course. So the ability to engage and manage this thing effectively will give you the result that you want. So you must delegate your task. If you want to build a bridge, for example, you alone cannot build that bridge. You need to have project team members. You need to have the team lead that will coordinate that those team members so that they can deliver a fantastic result. These are lines of hierarchy. These are lines of management that we need to incorporate into our daily life. You need to delegate your task. Assign the task. Two words are better than one. You cannot do everything all by yourself. If you do everything all by yourself, you will come to grief. So prioritizing tasks. You need to prioritize your task and spending the right time on the right activity. When you have outlined your task and outlined your task as per level of importance and urgency, if a task demands 5 minutes, give it that 5 minutes. When you are giving a task which is supposed to last you 2 minutes, you are giving it 30 minutes. That is wastage of time. And when you have a project which is supposed to last for 30 minutes, and out of the 30 minutes, you're supposed to, this A, for example, you are supposed to give 5 minutes on phase A, and you are giving 10 minutes on phase A. In the end, it will affect the other phases. That you will now have to do your work in a very rush manner, and you tend to come out with clumsy results or little or no results below expectation. So when you are able to manage your time effectively, it will not allow you to waste your time on tasks that does not need too much time. So this on the longer run will affect your productivity. So a rat as an effective time manager. So I'm this kind of a person. I'm so passionate about nature. I learn a lot about nature. There are great life lessons to learn in this nature that we are. So many examples, so many things to learn from animals. Yes, animals might not be as intelligent as we, but I must say to us that they have a lot of potentials also. And on the other hand, it boils down to an individual. I don't see animals as an animal per se. I see them as a being entirely, a being in their own domain, a being in their own sphere. And of course, some people say animals are gods. Yeah, of course, that is their reality. They can say animals are gods in their own hierarchy, in their own kingdom. But I must say, animals, a lot, uh, a lot can be learned from animals. So, according to a research conducted in France, we all know that to be called an effective time manager, you must be very, very accurate when you allocate your time. It deals with accuracy. So I should quickly read this slide. So rats are highly intelligent animals and they can evaluate their performance and change their behaviors accordingly to do better next time. According to a new international study, the researcher from France, the French National Center for Scientific Research, and the CEA Research Center, that is the Cancer Research Center, tested that the time management ability of rats by developing a behavioral task during which the rodent learned to press a lever for 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 at least 3.2 seconds. So the thing tested that the time management ability of rats by developing a behavioral task during which the rodent learned to press a lever for at least 3.2 seconds. In the same phase, the feeder delivered a reward according to the animal's performance. If the animal completed the task with a small error just above 3.2 seconds, it received food in the left feeder And in the case of a larger deviation, it's delivered on the right feeder. This allowed the rats to understand that the location of their reward was based on their accuracy. So, in the third stage, the rodents were given a choice between the two feeders. They received a reward for choosing a permanent feeder. The scientists found that the rats choose the feeder corresponding to their temporal error. So the one on the left, if they completed their assigned task within 3.2 seconds, and the one on the right, if they took longer. So this is to show that even rats understand that as an intelligent living thing, they work so much on accuracy. Now, this is the point. When you have outlined your task as per level of importance and allocated the time that you want to spend to each of these tasks, it is very important that we are accurate on the time that we have allocated to those tasks. So that is that accuracy that even rats have even understood in order for them to get their reward on each feeder at about 3.2 seconds. So, and this is something that is done consistently, not just once. It's about consistency. So, the outcome of this research, um, what is the outcome of this research? The researcher found that on each trial, the rats evaluated the accuracy with which they performed the task, and also they were even able to estimate their margin of errors. So that is still boils down to accuracy. So, what gives an individual class is the ability to perform that task consistently with accuracy. That gives class. So you cannot perform a task just once and you want to be reckoned to as someone with a high class. No, it has to come with some level of consistency and determination. So on our next slide, setting goals and objectives. Of course, we all need formulas. Of course, so many people have come out with formulas, so many people have come out with principles. Everything in this life has its own principles, and we need to learn them with formulas. We cannot just attend to things blindly and we want to come out with fantastic results. So, in order for us to set goals and objectives, to do work without goals and targets in an organization will be similar to situation where the captain of the ship loses the way in the sea. One would be lost. Learn to set targets for yourself and and make make sure they are realistic and achievable. You need to be specific about your target. Be specific. Outline it. Make it distinct. This is what I want to achieve. It needs to be specific. And also it needs to be measurable. You need to quantify it. Okay, what is the weight of this? It needs to come with some level of quantity. You need to quantify them. It needs to be measurable. And also, is it achievable? Achievability and when we say something is achievable and also realistic, they are two sides of the same coin. When something is achievable, then it is realistic. If it is not if it is not achievable, definitely it is unrealistic. So when it is achievable, you need to discover that are your goals and objectives realistic enough? Can you get the results out of those goals and objectives? Is this something that you need to sit and look within yourself and question about? And also, is it timely? For everything you want to do in life, you need to include time. Whether you like it or not, we are made with some elements of time. And to succeed on this plane of existence that we find ourselves, we need to work with time. If you do not work with time, you cannot be guided. And also, if you do not work with time, that individual, yes, of course, the person might be a winner for that time being, but that class will not be there. Let's just take, for instance, we have athletes on the track of for 100-meter race. Of course, they are instruments to measure uh, the speed of those athletes and the time with which they will finish that race, which is also known as the stopwatch that is placed by the track. So, to be a record holder, you must work with that time. Yes, if you don't work with that time, yes, you can deliver that result, but trust me, when you do it another time, you might not come out with any result. So time is a basic element of life that we need to work with. Of course, we came into existence as per this time. We came one day into this earth. We came one day into this earth time. And so, since we came one day into this earth as per time, of course, every living being is going to die. Of course, and we are going to die as per time. Anything that has a beginning must have an end phase. So the same thing is applicable to every process that will give us result. Since everything has a beginning and an end phase, every process must have a beginning and an end phase. And each of those processes are this task that we are talking about. Okay, so on the next slide, now we need to look into some time management techniques. Okay, what are some time management techniques that we need to look into? Of course, we all need some techniques to guide us to get this result that we want, this productive result that we want. We all need some formulas to be able to do that. So we need to look into the Eisenhower matrix. Before Dwight Eisenhower became the president in 1953, he served in the U.S. Army as an Allied Force commander during the World War II. He was faced with difficult decisions every day that led him to invent what is now called the Eisenhower matrix or the urgent importance matrix. So there was one day I made a post on my social media about great strategists being an effective time manager. According to Napoleon, he made mention of being a great strategist because so many people were asking me, even when I was not born then, when he was alive then, but we read some of his books. So people were asking him about how to become a great strategist. And he simply answered them that there is no formula to becoming a great strategist. It's just about being aware in the moment. It's just about being present in that circumstances. You derive the best approach that will give you a competitive advantage over even your competitors, even in the business world and even in the corporate environment. So this is still boils down to the strategic management that we talk about. That we talk about being dealing with issues and building competitive advantage and also ensuring an all-time performance. So that gives you the best approach. So these are the one of the approaches. As a former U.S. Army, these are people that have gone for peacekeeping. Have seen different wars and fought in different wars, and this is why I don't do not disrespect so many great strategies that fought wars. We are not learning time management now to be able to fight wars, but at least to be able to attend to some of the tasks in our lives. So attending to tasks is just about fighting wars, dealing with tasks, overcoming tasks, then ensuring that we overcome them. It's also similar to these wars that we are talking about. So you must be a great strategist. So you must prioritize your tasks as per importance and urgent ones. Identify which should be done within the day, which should also be done within the month, and so on. Most important tasks should be done earlier. So there's a table for that to understand, to prioritize, to schedule, and so to delegate or push back ones that are less important, and also to eliminate or keep to the last the ones also that are not important. So how does it work? What are the kind of people that should benefit from this Eisenhower matrix? People in leadership position and also critical thinkers. I must tell it to us today that to be an effective time manager, you must be critical in thinking. There are so many skills that are associated with being an effective time manager. When you look at corporate societies today and the world at large and companies, you'll be able to understand that even employers of labor today are looking for people that are skilled in diverse fields that has to do with project or time management. Of course, if you are able to manage your time effectively, you'll be able to organize, you'll be able to have these organization skills. Companies are looking for people who have this skill to be able to organize themselves and task. People who do not know how to organize themselves cannot become an effective time manager and will not deliver that result. So critical thinking skills, analytical skills, problem solving skills, human resource skills, collaborative skills, all of these things reflect in the principles of time management. So on the next slide, we have the Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique was created by an entrepreneur, also known as Francesco Cirillo. So this technique uses a timer to break down your work into intervals. Each interval is known as the Pomodoro um, technique. So this particular technique, of course, we all understand that the brain also needs rest. If we overuse ourselves, we will break down. So at a periodical interval, we need to relax. Okay, you need to do things that gives you that calmness, that cools you down. Some people it might be playing of games. Of course, if that is what gives you that calmness and gives you that time to take a short break or recess, you can definitely do that. If it's to watch a movie, you can do that within your interval, within your task. If it is something that you need to take a stroll just to be able to get yourself, of course you need to do that. Those are the things that cools you down. The brain, it is just like a car. Of course, definitely when you overuse a car, you know, when you overuse, of course, cars are meant to take you from one place to the other. When you fail to rest your car, it will get to a time it will begin to overheat. Aside from the fact that there will be no water in the radiator. Yes, that is a machine, but though too, they overheat and they need rest. So when they work throughout the day, months, years, and you don't service them, you don't give them rest, then they will break down. The same thing is applicable to human beings. So what are the uh, people that will benefit from this? Also critical, creative thinkers and those who feel um, burned out from work or school. This is also um, important for students and for people in leadership positions too, and creative thinkers. Creativity takes a lot of energy. Anything that has to do with cognitive, it takes a lot of energy. Anything that has to do with the brain and also the mind to think, you discover that it is then you tend to consume more food. And when you are not feeding the brain the things you are supposed to feed it, then you discover that one day the brain will crash and you know a lot of sicknesses will set in. So on the next slide, we have the Parkinson Law. So it states we can law per se, but at least we can call it a law, but also a time management technique. So this states that the work expands to fill the time available for the completion. Parkinson law should be used to help you improve your productivity by thinking about realistic yet challenging goals. So the idea is to set some time off rather than leaving all of your goals, plans, and task open-ended. So this was designed by a British historian, the Parkinson. So he became famous for the face. Work expands so as to fill the time available for the completion. So in other words, the amount of time you give yourself to complete a task, specific task, is the amount of time it will take you to complete that task. This still boils down to accuracy of the attitude of the rat that we are talking about. You need to learn accuracy. So you need to finish off that task based on the time frame you allocated to it. So what are the types of people oh, that this will work for? These are procrastinators and also people who work well under pressure. And of course, when it comes to me, because I discovered that our potentials are different. And also, it is very, very important that each of these principles, uh, we can choose them based on how it's suitable and comfortable for ourselves. Based on me, I don't know how to work under pressure, but sometimes when man demands it, I give it that. It is sometimes things will not always come when you are comfortable. Sometimes it will demand that you give it what it demands. According to Niccolo Machiavelli, he discovered that before you can be prosper in life's affair, you must study what that time demands. When you give it what that time demands, then you will prosper. But when you don't study that time and you are not giving it what it demands, it will not prosper. Because as as we go in this plane of existence, things will begin to change. And it is very, very pertinent that we study what times demand. So when you give it that, then you will prosper at it. So on the next technique, we can talk about the time blocking method. It's a method that was adopted by Benjamin Franklin. This is a time management strategy where you schedule out all your parts and you mean every part of your day. It is just like a timetable. You need to set it out. From 9 to 10 a.m., you need to do this and you need to do this. From 10 to 11, you need to do this and you need to do this. So, great billionaires and great persons that are doing exceptionally well in the world today, such as Elon Musk, Bill Gates, these are what they have been able to do. They allocate time to each of their tasks. So, it is then you can come out to say that you are going to achieve some level of results. So it will work well for those people who work with analysis. Yes, who work with analysis. So analytical thinkers. So these are the people that will benefit from this particular technique. And also, we can look into rapid planning method. It's a method created by Tony Robbins, which is also known as result purpose and massive action plan. Of course, the purpose of every action is to deliver a result. And also, before you dive into an action, you must have a purpose. And also, these three key things are very, very important. Result, purpose, and massive action. It will give you the result. So how does it work? Capturing, write all your tasks you need to accomplish this week. Chunking, chunk your tasks together by commonalities, which items are personal, school related, career focused. Of course, we have so many things that we deal with. We need to outline our personal life, outline it separately. These are part of outlining your task also that we talked about, and also school related and also career related that we're talking about. So create your time, your own RMP block. It is not necessary you create other people kind of RPM block. You can create your own too. We're all creative thinkers. You can sit, of course, we all need to study other people's own to be able to derive our own. Of course, it is very, very important we study other people's own. Of course, it is not bad to imitate those people who are ahead of us. Okay, it is to study their work so that we can discover ourselves in the process, so that we should not lose ourselves in the process. So, creating an empowering rule for yourself, you should have your own rule and principles. Don't get carried away by other people's principles. Know what works well for you. Know how you can derive your own result. We are all created differently. Our potentials are different. Our strengths are different, and also our weaknesses are different. So we can understand ourselves and creating our own rules separately. So the people that will benefit from this are working students and parents, people who have long-term goals. We must understand that everything we become today, we are a set of processes and long-term goals that we had set years before. This is to connote that the present, just like I said before, also have an effect on our present moment. Sorry, the past also have an effect on the present moment. So it is a long-term goal. These are things that that await those people who are very patient, not people who are urgent about things. Patience. When life demands patience, give it that. Even um in the kingdom of animals, sometimes when they want to hunt, yes, even when we know that so many animals, even all animals have a way they camouflage as per their defensive strategy. Whenever they want to hunt, sometimes they look patiently on their prey before they hunt. When you talk about cats that are being curious, no cat can contain curiosity. These are animals that, if they want to hunt, they practice stealth, or maybe they hide out, or maybe they camouflage with nature. This requires a lot of patience and analysis and critical thinking before you launch an attack. The same thing is applicable to launching your goals and targets. You need to critically analyze. It's a long-term process. It doesn't demand for a rush at all. So we can talk about the pickle jar theory. Pickle jar theory, also known as the bucket of rocks theory. the jar of life theory was developed in 2012 by Jeremy Wright with the notion that time is a finite space that has limit. Of course, just like I said before, time has a beginning and an end phase. Every process has a beginning and an end phase. And since time has a beginning and an end phase, they are parallel to one another, they are one dimensional. The difference between time and space. Space is three dimensional. Of course, we can talk about the height, the width, the length, and also you understand. So when we talk about time, it is finite. And also, this pickle jar theory works well for that. So the pebbles, the sands, and rocks, as displayed in the diagram, are your activities and tasks. And also, so the task with average importance. You see, the pebble is a task with average importance. The sand, small importance. These are small as per their sizes. Their sizes as per their level of importance, and also the rocks. Also, they are placed there. So this is just a diagram to make us understand that tasks should be attended to as per level of importance. So this works well for um, concrete thinkers. Okay, this works well for concrete thinkers and visual people. It works well for them. And also on the next slide, we have the eat that frog theory. This eat that frog theory was created by Mark Twain, which stated that eat a live frog for the first time in morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. Start your day by doing the most onerous task. You know, when you sleep at night and you wake up in the morning, you have a lot of stress for you have a lot of energy to attend to task the whole day. You understand? So, but it is very, very thoughtful that when we wake up very morning, it is very, very important that the most difficult task should be attended to early because by then we have a lot of energy to spend on those tasks. So when you attend um to a task that does not have much uh importance and also that does not consume energy very early in the morning, then you now discover that maybe in the afternoon or evening you are exhausted and you are now left with tasks that are very, very cumbersome, that won't rush for you. So it will break one down. It is very important that very early in the morning you can practice this eat that frog technique by attending to the one rush task. Then you have a lot of energy. You can exhaust your energy on that. So by the time you attend to uh tasks that are less difficult, it will not run you out. So um who are people that should benefit from this task? These are abstract thinkers and also people with long-term goals. So all these things still boils down to long-term goals, people that can practice patience. So getting things done method. This was created by author David Allen. This particular process helps you get things done by tasks uh, and then breaking them down into actionable work. So this methodology is based on a simple truth. The most important bouncing around inside your head, the harder it is to decide what needs attention. So as a result, you spend more time thinking about the task than actually doing them. So when information piles up in your head, it leads to stress, overwhelming, and uncertainty. David Allen observed that our brains are much more better at processing information than storing it. Your head's a crappy office. So how does it work? It captures the action that have your attention. These actions are tasks that can relate to anything from um, work to school, from work to school to your personal life, and also clarify what you mean, and also organize your action, reflect on it, and also engage it. So these are the steps to which you can attend to your task based on these principles and techniques. So types of people that should benefit from this technique: people who struggle to focus on one thing at a time, people who feel overwhelmed in their daily life. So getting things done method is very suitable for people just like this. And also the Pareto analysis. The Pareto analysis is also known as the 80 to 20 uh, rule that we know. So it is a technique that is created by Italian economist Vilfredo Vilfredo Pareto. Is the idea that 20% of the action are responsible for 80% of the outcomes. For every action, there is a consequence. Of course, whether positively or negatively, it's also about the principle of cause and effect. So for every action you put in, it is also a result that you get from it. So this um, is important for those people who are problem solvers and also analytical thinkers. So how does it work? List some of the problems you are facing. It's just all about outlining your task and also identify the root cause of each problem. So, and also assign a score to each of them, group problems together by cause, add up the score of each group, then take action. You cannot just take on action anyhow because you'll be lost in the middle. You need to understand that that problem in particular. It's just about when you want to repair a system, for example, a sports system. Of course, it is very important that you troubleshoot that system. Okay, know where this problem is coming from. And when you know where this problem is coming from, okay, you'll be able to identify the solution to it. Okay, this is what I need to do. Then also you craft out the best strategy that will solve the problems of that system. So the same thing is particular about our lives. Whenever we are attending to problem, sit down, have a deep reflection, think about it. Okay, where am I getting it wrong? How should it be done? What is the strategy to put in place to make sure that I solve the problem? So this is suitable for problem solvers and also analytical thinkers. And also we need to go to the benefit of time management. Of course, we cannot be talking about time management without talking about its benefits. Of course, you see, it is you discover that when you put time management technique and the principle of time management into your daily practice, it will become your habits, and definitely it will give you these values that you want. In turn, even when you are not thinking about the values, it will give you the value. So everything that you do, it will give you the value. So when we talk about the benefit of this time management, we can talk about punctuality and discipline. Of course, it will make you punctual when you outline your task as per urgency and level of importance. You need to give you that punctuality that you want, and since you allocate time to them and you are accurate about the time, it will give you that punctuality and discipline. So one learn to work when it is actually required as a result of effective time management. So to make judicious use of time, individuals should prepare a to-do list or task plan. So it is just all about outlining your task at the day to jot down activities which need to be done in a particular day as per level of importance. And also, I also made mention of organization. Organizational skills is very important, which is also very similar to the human resource skill. So you discover that everything we do in this life is project. Okay, let me say for example, we also we engage in projects even in our personal life. Now, when you look at it from this angle, you wake up very early in the morning, maybe you are still on your bed, you will think that, okay, from 8 to 9, I need to take my bath. From 9 to 10, or maybe I need to brush my teeth. From 10 to 11, I need to eat my breakfast. From 11 to 12, I need to do this. From 12 to 1, I need to do that. So you will discover that the awesome of those things are for results. They are projects on the long run. Even when it is not a very big project that we all know when we talk about road construction and all that, but it is also project in our personal life. It is a project, so and it demands the allocation of time. So when you cannot manage these various phases of project, then people will say, or some persons will say that you lack the organization skills. So it is just about learning how to integrate different processes of projects. It is what is called project integration management. The ability to integrate different processes or stages of this process. So when the ability to integrate them will give you that organization skill that you want. So it is just about project management also in our daily life. So it boosts your morale and confidence. Your confidence and your self-esteem, just like when I discussed about the psychology of time management at the introduction of my presentation, it will give you that confidence. Confidence is also similar to self-esteem. Of course, you cannot have self-esteem when you don't have confidence in yourself. Of course. So the competence and the productivity and the capability will give you that high self-esteem, which will give you also the confidence. So it will boost your morale anywhere you are. You'll be able to speak anywhere you are. You will be able uh, to to give values into people that are around you. So it will give you less stress and anxiety prone. So this can also be translated to a medical life and psychological life. So when you chart yourself, when you draw your plans as per your level of importance and allocate time to them, you discover that it will give you less stress. You'll not be burnt out. And psychologically, medically, and physically, you will look fit. And also task prioritization and activities. So it will give you that skill to be able to prioritize your task and also attend to activities properly the way it should be. To be a better planner and also better forecasting, of planning and also better forecaster. You see, you can be a better planner also and also better forecaster in this process. When I made mention of meteorologists that forecast weather, sunshine is going to come out in this region, rain is going to come out in this region. So it is because they've understood that time, and since they have been able to create a machine to be able to forecast the outcome of the event of that day, so it has in turn imbibe in them how to be a better planner and to forecast or predict better. So, and also when it comes to goals and objective realization, so it will enable you to be able to realize your goal within the shortest possible plan. Shortest possible plan. So that is the end of my presentation. And I want to say a very big thank you for the opportunity to be able to share my knowledge and also to learn from you, sir, and also a distinguished guest and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to be able to come live here to share my thoughts on time management and also uh, psychology of time management. So the purpose of all this is to become a better person in the future. It is not about competition. It is not about trying to show people that you are knowledgeable or trying to show people that you know this and you know it. It's just about this impact. So in our own little way, um, we can also strive to also make sure that this society that we are, that we transfer, we share this knowledge that we have. Because of course, knowledge that is not shared is just is nothing. Actually, is nothing. Of course, we should be able to share knowledge so that we we all grow, we will all develop, and we also know that to grow, what it means to grow is to grow from within. Growth is not measured by the material things that we have. It is about our innermost attributes, values that we inculcate into other persons. So thank you very much once again for giving me the opportunity.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. I really loved and enjoyed the session with you. Right from your first slides, when which you talk about the time management is actually the life management. That was a wonderful start you have given to this presentation, and very nicely you have talked about what does this clock shows and the time, the word itself. And I love the way you talked about the wonderful thing of that the psychology of the time management, and then the very nicely you talked about that how we are going to manage our time, the different tips and the rat example for that purpose. And very nicely you have quoted the Brain Tracy at multiple places. I also read the Brain Tracy wonderful tips on self development books. He's a wonderful author as well. And so many techniques you have discussed, so many wonderful tips you have discussed. And I think you have given the references as well that how can you do it. And for example, the 4Ds of the Brain Tracy was so nice, and you explained each and every point very nicely, giving wonderful examples. So I loved overall this session with you because so many things you integrated in a wonderful way, and a kind of storytelling that how it impacts our life, how can we improve it, and how can we make it in a way that the time becomes effective for us, and what is the role of the psychology and the different the feeling of control, even the law you discussed, which was very nice. And I think these kind of things are the things which people expect from the expert that they would tell them and make it easy for them. So in this 1.5 hour session, you have made very easy things for our audience from around the globe to understand the concept of the time management and how can they improve their time management skills. You have addressed so many questions in your presentation as well, but there are certain questions which needs your illustration. So should we start with the first question, please?
Of course, we can start with the first question, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. And the first question they want to ask that thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. Sir, would you like to explain the role of the technology and tools to enhance the time management skills? What do you recommend a technological tool for us as a student? Yes, please.
Of course, there are, there are a lot of softwares which is to guide us to be able to uh, input our tasks. There are a lot of them online. A lot of softwares have been developed. It's just like when you have um, the the human resource software too. Of course, there are a lot are online. You see where you can input your your activity for the day. When you input them, you don't even need to do much work about that. When you just put them into um, the software, it will automatically it will tell you to specify which one you want to attend to as per your level of importance, and automatically it scales it up for you, and it is just like a guideline for you. Of course, there are a lot of technologies online, so you can just it is something that can be downloaded online. Even it is not the world has gone far now, has gone beyond just trying to do paperwork and going through the old ways of drawing a timetable, just like the way we were conversant with now. So everything has gone digital, and these are infrastructures that nations all around the world now are now investing into just to simplify our work and just to give us less stress on. So there are a lot of software. So the role of technology uh, is to offer us less stress and in attending to our task, and also to also give us that accuracy and to make sure that we do not exhaust our time on each of all these tasks that we have ahead of us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Very nice answer to it. And now there is one another question, that is how to overcome the procrastination and stay focused on important tasks. Please share some tips, please.
Can you come again, sir?
Yes, Prof. The question is how to overcome the procrastination and stay focused on important tasks.
How you can stop the network is not really that clear, but can you come again?
Yeah, they want to ask that how can we overcome the procrastination. It means that sometimes they become lazy to avoid the important tasks. So share some tips that how to overcome the laziness. Yes, please.
Okay, the truth of the matter is that is our imperfect side as human beings. The truth of the matter is that all of us procrastinate. We all have this thing that we all want to do sometimes that the body will not be willing, but when you know that a lot of tasks are there for you to do, but all these things still boils down to being disciplined. Or the most of the time, you see, we should always think about our goals, and that we should see our goals as something like, if we do not achieve these goals, then it's now or never. Like, we must achieve it now, um as quickly as possible. Of course, we all battle procrastination and laziness, but then it is just something that we need to always we should always try to tailor our life towards our goal, that if these goals are not met, then I cannot rest. So it is not something like we should just live our life just living for living sake. Without that is why I talked about not having a goal. For everything in our lives, we should try to connect with it, our goal. That no, we need to achieve this goal. The thing is also pertain to procrastination. Of course, you need to just force yourself and get up. At first, it will be very difficult for you to get up, but you now discover that once you begin that thing, you now discover that you derive pleasure in continue doing it. Why is it so? It's just similar to every first attempt is usually very, you feel very, very reluctant in doing them. But then it is very
True.
important that no matter what, you can beat laziness and procrastination. Just make the first attempt, even when you are not willing, but in the process, it will get along.
Wonderful, wonderful. Since we have time limitation, we have few minutes left. So one quick question along with the your message. Dear sir, we ask each our guest regarding their message to the world. So the question is that what is your source of motivation? And our request is to please give your message to the world as a speaker, author, trainer, learner, professional, and educator as well. So both question in one answer. Yes, please.
Okay. Ah, my source of motivation. Actually, the truth of the matter is, have these people that we look up to. Definitely, great figures that we look up to. And most people that I look up to, usually when I read their books, I don't know, maybe it's because of my kind of person. I seldom read philosophical books. Yeah, philosophical books of like Marcus Aurelius and Socrates. So their books a lot, their words, the way they communicate meaning through their words motivates me. So I've now gotten adapted to it. Like, without reading their book, then I cannot just feel all right, because it communicates a lot of wisdom and a lot of knowledge in them. And the truth of the matter is that, just like I said, our potentials are different. Yes, we are wired differently. I'm a person also, aside from the fact that books motivate me, just like the philosophers that I just spoke about, I'm a self motivator myself. People don't need to push me to do a thing. I know that there are some set of persons that they are self motivators, and there are some persons that they need a push to be able, they need a push from people to be able to carry out their actions. Of course, we are different, but it just boils down to understanding yourself and knowing the kind of person that you are. So, and on talking to the world about sharing idea to the world,
Yes. Yes, please.
okay, so on sharing giving a speech to the world, well, it is just all about, just like what I have been saying, there's no magic to that. It's all just about knowing yourself, having a deep reflection about yourself, understand that you have a potential, locate that potential within you, and you discover that, I understand that fear is always one of the hindrance to greatness. But I must tell us, fear is success in disguise. The moment you be able to conquer that fear, the moment success begins to to showcase itself. So we can say fear is an illusion that stands between a man and his success. So the most important thing for us to know is that have this belief in yourself. It is not just about doing the things that you do. You must also have this belief in yourself. According to Marcus Aurelius, he made us to understand uh, that the mind which is seated within you, you should always retreat to it to understand the kind of person that you are. Retreat to that mind, have a deep reflection about the kind of person that you are, understand the kind of potentials that you are, work on those potentials, and you see that you go so many places that you become someone that the world will reckon to, someone of value that will attain levels and great pedestals in life.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you very much for giving wonderful message to the world. To the audience that do follow our distinguished guest speaker through his work, and you can email him for future learning and guidance. He is very generous and always ready to help the people. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you once again to Sir Caleb Timilehin Samuel. And I would also like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional question about information shared today, please email us or connect to the speaker directly through his email or social media account. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. Until next session, take care of yourself. Bye bye.